Alrighty, so finally I get to make this video. So I've seen many student YouTubers make this video as they graduate, and today I figure it's finally my opportunity to share with you guys my perspective and all the things that I wish I knew before I got into Western, because I remember vividly in first year I struggle a lot with finding information about my program, my university experiences, and what just in general what to expect. So this video, if you're a high school student or first or second year university, considering coming to Western or considering partaking into the Ivey Business program, this video it's for you. So in this video, I break it down into 5 parts. First, I give you a bit of context and background of what Ivey Business School is. 2, we'll look into some of the classes and courses that I took and what to expect from these classes. And 3rd, I will look into some of non-academic experiences that are vital to your university experience, whether it goes from residence to campus to club ecosystem to social to transitions. So 4th, I want to talk about dual degree, which basically is an option for students to pursue a business degree alongside with another degree in whatever field or subjects that you're interested. And 5th part, I wanted to unfold and answer the most juicy question, that was Ivey worth it? So if that sounds cool, let's get right into it. So to start off, I want to give you a bit of context of what Ivey Business School is all about. There's one thing that you need to know is that your curriculum in business school doesn't start until 3rd year. So what that means is in your 1st and 2nd year, you are free to study whatever subjects you want, from health science to computer science to business to criminology. I did economics. You can really study whatever subjects you want, and which also means when you get into 3rd year, when you guys all come together, all have unique knowledge, values, and strength to bring to the table, which makes the entire environment super homey and diverse. And there's another reason why I viewed Ivey is very homey, is because of how the classes were organized. So when you first got to Ivey in your 3rd year, our class is about 600 people, and we organize ourselves into 10 sessions of 60 people. Every single day, you would be staying in the same homeroom, and you would go through all the classes together. So it almost feels like kindergartens on steroids. That's what they call it, and that's honestly how you make a lot of your friends in your 3rd year. And they all came from different backgrounds. So everything felt super fresh, and it almost feel like you were in 1st year again, but literally you were kind of in 1st year. So in your 4th year in HBA 2, you no longer stick with your session. The session culture still exists, but outside the classroom. But now you're free to take whatever courses that you wanted. Outside of the maybe 4 mandatory courses, you can really take whatever courses that interest you. So that's something that I really do appreciate it. And there's also an option where you can do 5th year on dual degree, which I will cover later in this video. So secondly, I want to share with you guys some of the classes and courses I took at Ivey and also in main campus. So today I want to put everything on the screen, listing 1st to 5th year all the courses I've taken and highlighting some of the courses that I do enjoy more and some of the courses I found the most helpful. So some of the from Ivey, the courses that I do enjoy the most, including strategy, behavior economics, and case writing component of it, where you work individually with a professor to push a case of your interest. And for me, I cover a case on Bitcoin as a legal tender in El Salvador. So in main campus, anything macroeconomics, I've really enjoyed Psychology 1000 with Mike, 1220, and my thesis capstone project for economics. And the one that I found the most helpful from Ivey was Introduction to FinTech and Government Globalization, as well as Managerial Accounting. And from main campus, I really love this one course, which is Mathematics for Financial Analysis from Actuarial Science and Financial Economics. So aside from the courses, I also want to touch upon a little bit of the teaching style. At Ivey, we have 100% case study method, which means For all the classes from accounting to analytics to more qualitative, you have communication and leadership. You guys are also going to be working on cases. So what is a case, you may wonder? So in a case study, you would have to role play as a business or a stakeholder. Given this all the resources and information that you have to make a decision. So sometimes you have to work through accounting problems, sometimes you have to build financial models, sometimes you want to think in certain frameworks, build certain processes, and try to arrive in the best decision possible. And you guys as class would all like discuss about like, okay, like who are we today at the very beginning until all the way at the end. What kind of decision should we make? What kind of risks are we facing? Which means when you ask, okay, how do you get graded? There are good portions of your grade come from contribution. So contribution means like being able to raise your hand and speak in class. That shows that one, you have done your case prep before class. Two, you have shown you have demonstrated and be able to contribute to a topic, to a discussion. So back to grades, like how you get graded, 1/3 of it is contribution. It can go up to 50%. I've seen some cases, but another 1/3 of the grades come from final assessments. It could be essay, it could be group projects, it could be final exams. But I found group projects to be more common. And the third part of it is sort of the midterm assessment or assignments or whatever the professor wants to structure it. So sometimes you can have weekly quizzes, sometimes you could have assignments, sometimes you could have midterms, just like every other course. Alright, so for the third part, I want to talk about experiences outside of the classroom. And first and foremost, you can't talk about that without discussing residences. So in first year, and yes, I did live in a dorm at Medway Sydenham Hall. There's one thing I wish I knew more about choosing residences is the proximity and location. So in my first year, I had to go to Ivey for club meetings, or I had to go to the rec center for workouts a lot. And going from Medway, Sydenham Hall, or MedSyd to those areas were tedious. Like in the winter, you had like a 6 p.m. meeting, and then you finish a meeting at 7, you're hungry, walking back in the snow for 30 minutes, almost like every other day. It's like super terrible. But which leads to the second point I want to talk about, it's making friends or university transition. I thought choosing a traditional hall would be great for making friends, but my thought was not wrong, but also not fully true at the same time, because there are much more ways of making friends outside of your residence. I think the club ecosystem at Western or at Ivey is super robust, because imagine like you have thousands of students like all moving out of their hometown to come to this little town called London, Ontario, which means like all of us are going to stick together super tight, and there's a strong campus community of just like clubs, academic clubs or non-academic clubs. Also, the last part I want to touch upon is career support. I think in business school, or if you're interested in business, or literally in any programs, like a lot of times you might be looking out for internships, you'd be out there looking for a job after you graduate. At Western specifically, there are two things I want to highlight. So the first one is CPAs, so Career Profile Advisors. They're located in UCC, or University Student Center, University Community Center. And even outside of that, like your friends are actually your best resources in a way where I remember in my second year, third year, like having like 2 or 3 people who are sort of your interview buddies, where you guys are applying to like the same job, being able to share your questions that you got from the interviews, and being able to mock each other in turn, like doing mock interviews to each other. It's like super great way for me to learn and get better in recruiting. So for the fourth part, I want to talk about dual degrees. So for my personal experience, I did a dual degree of global economics. So if you think about pursuing dual degree as a decision, the pros or the advantages of that is that you get an extra degree, you get to really explore another discipline outside of finance or outside of business, and you really get an extra year of university time to connect with other people, to explore what you really enjoy, and you get an extra summer to pursue another internship in your 4th year summer. And the cons of doing a do a degree is obviously there are financial costs and also financial opportunity costs, which you could graduate a year earlier to start working full time. And to me, there is also an experience element where I had my third year online because of COVID, and I felt like doing a fifth year for me to have some of those experience back and also to reflect on my values, my beliefs, what I wanted to do in my career. So for me, like I think a lot of people did do degrees for different reasons, but then there were a few things. And if you do want to pursue degrees, there are two things that I wanted to tell you about. So the first thing is the timeline. I think you should definitely read up on all the course requirements on your academic calendar, understanding different modules that you're gonna take, the courses that you require to take it, because in your first and second year, you're probably gonna be optimizing for your GPA, and there is some kind of trade-offs because if you wanna do like a dual degree, you're obligated to take all the honors, which are the harder courses in your first and second year, and if you do not want to do dual degrees, you don't have to take any of these honors courses. You can just take a major and do that. But if you want to do a dual degree, you should really think about it in your second year and decide to take not all the honors courses, but about half of the honors courses, because you can always catch it up in your fourth and fifth year. So last but not least, I want to talk about the question, was Ivey worth it? So the short answer is definitely a yes. But I think there is a lot more to unfold and to talk about rather than just a short, simple yes. So there are three criteria I wanted to look into it. So I want to look into the numbers and finances. I want to look into the experiences and my connections. I also want to talk about my professional growth because of this degree. So first, let's take a look at the numbers. Here's like a brief list of all the tuitions by all the top business school programs in Canada. Ivey is definitely one of the more expensive ones, and the way I like to think about it is that in Canada, it's actually a lot more cheaper than private universities in the States, and all the cost here is also just basically the full price tag, which you have a lot of scholarships available, you have financial aid from OSAPs that is available, which I took advantage of, that has alleviated a little bit of my financial pressure. And the second thing I want to talk about is connections and experiences. When you talk I think a lot of debate people have about whether education or university education was worth it is like a lot of materials, because of the internet. You can find almost like everything on every guide, every models online that you can study and can teach yourself with. But I think the most valuable part of university is the connections and experiences you have had. So by experience, I'm not just talking about like going to the club or like hanging out with friends, like the scenes I've seen from like YouTube or from media about university life. I think experiences is really more sort of on like how you find or add on ideas that you got from other people that you met at university. So whether if you have started a club, whether if you partake in some competition, whether if you met some speaker from classes, I think these are great experiences that are pretty much irreplaceable, or you can't really compare that with, let's say, like an online certificates or going through a lot of videos and articles. And these are the things that are super tangible and had a real impact on me as a person. A lot of times these companies would come to Ivey to give you presentations about their company, the roles that they're hiring for. I think it not only helps with recruiting success, I think it paints a picture, it gives you a perspective of what is really possible and what kind of occupations and industries out there that you can actually pursue outside of the ones that you already know. And on top of that, I say being in this like super competitive peer environment does help you in some way, because it always pushes you to be the best version of yourself academically and also non-academically, even though it's not always great. But then I think like without them, like I think I would definitely not be able to be arrived to this point by myself. And the last part is the alumni network. I think being in a school like Ivey with such a track record, that means there are a lot of alumni out there that are doing amazing things, working in amazing companies, or starting amazing businesses. And let's say further down the road, whether if you work as an advisor, an investor, an operator, you can always be able to connect with great individuals who are in a similar field, who were able to lend you a hand at the times when you need them. So yeah, I definitely say Ivey was worth it. Was probably one of the best 5 years in my life. And although it has been great, like I also look forward to what's next after this, because I finally graduated, and I also hope for those who are watching, you guys have gotten something out of this. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe, and I see you in the next one.